as you can see, we have found them. Hello! You can already pretty much just wave through the window. Alright everybody, hello and welcome back to another episode on Kerbal Space Program with me, Spacefish, and welcome back to the beautiful Kerbal Space Center, currently very much at nighttime. In the last episode, we made some good progress actually on our main mission. We have now got 2 rockets in orbit around the moon, both filled with kerbalnauts, and, well, they're just anxiously really waiting on getting to rendezvous in orbit so that we can swap one of them over to the other vessel and get things going, get that mission target out of the way, and then they can finally return back home. So we will very much work on that today. We'll have to see. Gonna have to synchronize some orbits here, most definitely, and make sure these vessels catch up with each other. And then if everything goes fine and smoothly and everybody still has enough propellant in their tanks afterwards, hopefully, we will then go and get them all back home. But before we get started on that, if you're new around here, if you happen to enjoy this episode, please make sure to smash that subscribe button right down below. That would mean the absolute world to me. We're well on our way to 1,000 subscribers, and every single person truly does help out a ton. Let's go, though, and actually get going on this task. So first things first, I think I want to have a quick look which one of these had more fuel left in it, because I'm quite sure I remember that one of these 2 rockets was actually a bit better off in terms of fuel. So this one is at 75 meters a second left in that last stage, and well, 1829 in that top stage, which I think also varied because, yeah, we're gonna load a quick save here. What in the world is that now? You are absolutely joking, man. I didn't even properly hit the space bar. Honestly, I didn't even properly hit it. I just skimmed along it with my nail, like, very slightly. I went, boop! Of course. First fuck up 1 minute into the episode. Beautiful. Let us go and load a quick save, which I hope that is this one, I guess, right? Would be the latest one. It should be that. Quite sure I just named them all quick save in the very end, so let's hope that this is it. We're not gonna live with that one. Okay, there we go. Cool. This time around at 75 meters a second. Was it not just 78? I feel betrayed. Anyways, here we are once more. Now we're gonna try and not disconnect that stage, and we're gonna go to this one and see just how much in terms of delta V we've got left here. Yeah, so this stage has a bit more. On the flip side, this stage has a lot less left in terms of delta V, which I think, I'm not quite sure though, but I think that is due to the additional weight of the RCS pods that we have on this one. So let's see, I think we're going to burn the delta V that we have on that stage for the time being, then we're kind of going to go from there. Now this is our current trajectory right here, and that's the trajectory of the other vessel. So what we're going to try and achieve here is to round about here where the 2 intersect. This is where we will want to kind of change our orbital plane. Not that way, but the other one. So that would be the new orbital plane that we would want to achieve, ideally, evidently. Maybe even a bit more spot on like that. Looks quite good to me, I would say. Of course, ideally also not with that crazy of an apoapsis. Now, the thing is, it's not terrible if that apoapsis stays a bit higher up for the time being, so the other rocket kind of has some time to catch up. But that then apparently instantly skews this orbital plane too, which makes sense, to be honest, because of course we're not like burning retrograde in this direction but in that direction, so kind of got to tinker with things a bit. Now this would be the perfect one, which is 326 meters a second of burn time. We don't need the perfect one necessarily. In fact, I am considering to kind of go quite far from perfect, just to kind of burn that 100 meters. Like, the thing is here, right? If we burn 300 meters a second of delta V, let us maybe check before we do this orbital maneuver how much we would require at that point to come home, right? So I guess we'll check it on the other rocket, given that is kind of the pain that we're like aiming for in the end here. So the way that the moon is orbiting like this means that if we burn retrograde, so like this retrograde here? No. I'm confused, to say the least. Yeah, if we burn prograde here, it's kind of the way to go for us, right? That does not seem like the craziest amount of fuel ever needed. Okay, so I mean, this would get us to a point where we could atmosphere brake already in Kerbin's atmosphere. And that's only 325 meters a second of delta V. We've got way more than that. So I think we're very good to go to just kind of do the burn on one of the rockets and then, you know, maybe do some adjustment burns on the other rockets. But let's fully align the orbit on this one then. And then we maybe go and switch to the other rocket to use some of its delta V to kind of slow it down and speed it up based on our need, and make sure to rendezvous with the other rocket, and then we're kind of in a good space to get going on this. And I think this one is a better orbital plane to align to in the end, to be honest, because it's just a lot more aligned with the orbit of the moon around Kerbin, so actually getting the rocket back into Kerbal atmosphere is going to be a lot easier for us in the end. So let's go and set up that maneuver node right here. And we're going to go and, of course, adjust that like this. Alright, we're going to need to give it a bit more of a twist. And there we go. Now that's, of course, going to have to kind of be readjusted again based on what we do here with the retrograde marker. Because as previously said, the retrograde is on the current orbital plane, not the 2B one. So, of course, it kind of skews with the orbital plane that we want to go for in the end here. Now, a little something like that. It's very much what we're looking for, I would argue. That looks beautiful. Pretty much spot on there. So that's 324 meters a second. Now, the slight issue that I'm seeing with this one is that the engines of this stage are going to be a lot weaker than the engines of the second stage. So we're going to kind of have to figure this out. I think the plan is that we'll start a good like 10-20 seconds early on the burn, and that way hopefully we can kind of make ends meet in the very end in terms of the alignment of the actual burn itself in the very end. We'll have to see. For the time being, let's go and align to that burn marker, and we have that node in about 7 seconds, and then we'll go and try to do some wizardry in terms of actually getting that burn going properly despite the stage that we're going to lose. Like, I mean, we do have a lot of delta V, of course, in that stage, don't get me wrong, but as far as I remember, the engine that we had up here is a lot weaker than the one we currently have. On top of that, of course, the rocket is going to be a lot lighter due to our stitching the stage, so it's going to all kind of very wildly hop around in terms of the burn time needed in the very end, so no real way for me to estimate that right now. That's why I think we're just going to start a bit early. So maybe we're going to start at around, say, 30 seconds. I hope that should be sufficient. Fingers crossed. Worst case, we'll kind of just have to tinker with it a bit after the fact. But I don't want to start too early either, because that one may skew up the point at which we align the orbits a bit too much in the end for us. So we can't really risk that either, because like if we end up with our orbit being like above or below the other orbit at a certain point in space, that's also going to end up with a big mess. So let's do our best to try and align this stuff. We will get started at 30 seconds, as I said, and then we'll see how we can get this going for ourselves. So, full speed right here. That is the stage already gone. Then we go and continue on that one. And the burn time does look quite decent to me, to be honest. So I think we can wait a bit. We've got a burn time of 12 seconds. We'll start again at 6. And that should hopefully more or less get us into. Now we do have the RCS on this very, very small rocket, which is beautiful. I think that will very much help us get things in line a bit better in the end. Let's go and get that last bit going for us as well. And that's 0.0 meters a second again. And now we're having this issue that I was really worried about, right? The orbits, in the end, don't quite perfectly line up like this, as you can see. That was, of course, kind of the main thing I was afraid of, with having to ditch that stage in the middle right there. So I can't get rid of this thing again. We will have to do a second small adjustment maneuver to make sure that we're actually perfectly on the same orbital plane here. Now that adjustment maneuver is going to have to happen here, where the paths intersect each other perfectly. So let's go and plan that one. And then we'll go from there, working with the other rocket to allow it to catch up to this one that we're currently sat in. I have to say, where's the periapsis? It's a bit low, in fact. So we're going to aim to extend it outwards a bit. That should be matching now. We should be matching the orbital plane of the other rockets all the way around as well, as far as I can tell. And that's going to be the way to go. So that's going to be a 0.7 second burn. I mean, that's quite intriguing, to be honest. 0.7 seconds is like... I'm not sure my reaction time is good enough for this burn. That's like a minute adjustment. Okay, well, fingers crossed on that 0.7 seconds burn that it's going to work out for us in the end, I guess. The marker is good to go. We're kind of already aligned to it. We're just going to go get ourselves a bit closer. And, I mean, 0.7 seconds is like, we're going to have to hit that timing just like spot on as well on this. But let's give it our best. Hyper focus. I would say that's quite decent. Not perfect, but quite decent. That's fine. That is fine. That's going to be the way that we're going to do it. If we look at the orbital planes, I think it's fine, honestly. Look at this. We're perfectly aligned in terms of the orbital plane, I would argue. So, the question is now, well, let's first things first switch over to the other rocket, because this is where we are going to do the maneuver to let the other rocket catch up, or, well, catch up to the other rockets. As far as I can see, I mean, we're basically more or less on polar opposites. It feels, though, as though we may be a tad bit closer to this rocket with this one than the other way around. So I think what we will try and do... So we'll go to the apoapsis here and lower the periapsis a tad bit. We can't do it too much, of course, because we don't want to smack face first into the moon in the very end. But we're going to lower it a bit. We can also already set this one as a target, and we'll kind of get an indicator of where we are going to be. So this one is in one orbit. Well, is this the planned this is the planned, right, based on our current maneuver? Does this shift it? Yeah. So here we will have an intersect of 455 kilometers. And like this, it'll be 463. Okay, wow. This will take us quite a bit of time if we want to try and catch up to it. Because, I mean, this is like 441. Okay, so maybe we do things the other way around and just raise the orbit instead. Because I feel with the attempt of trying to catch up, we will have a bit of an issue here. So, oh, something like this. Intersect 1, intersect 2? Oh, right, no, never mind. Intersect 2 is going to be 453 kilometers like this. Now, we do want to bring that a bit closer. A lot, in fact. And we don't want to wait like 10 orbits for this. Right, so this is kind of more what we're targeting here. 1.2 kilometers. There we go. That's more what we're looking at. 1.8. We're going to just have to try and bring this as close as possible. And then when we get to that intersect, we're basically just going to nullify the speed difference when that happens. And then we're going to kind of just get ourselves closer. 0.8 kilometers. I think that's pretty much as good as we can do. Gonna take us 60.4 meters a second, which I think is quite good. We're gonna have to see with the stage, because the stage only runs to 75 meters a second. I think we may find that we will have some issue actually getting the velocity difference on the second intersect taken care of quickly enough. So that one will be a curious one. But for the time being, let's stop this rotation. Already align ourselves to the burn marker. Ideally sometime this year. Really not great having no RCS on this thing. Which is also probably why we will do the final approach on the other rocket then. Because we do have RCS and just... It's so much better in terms of like minute adjustments and burning towards the other targets. That is if I remember the keyboard shortcuts for using it, but overall it's going to help us out quite a lot for this. Let's go though, we're aligned. We will go into time warp to the node. Slowly but surely. Not totally overdoing things ideally. And then we'll have 2 seconds of a burn time, so it's literally just starting on 1 second. And then we go from there. So, alignment, final minute adjustments, and we're pretty much good to go, I would argue. Let's wait for that 1 second marker. .5. Can we live with that? I think we can. Kind of look like... Okay, it kind of looked like this one went around, but I guess it didn't. Now we are pretty much spot on though with what we had planned. And we will have intersect 1 here. Intersect 2 is actually in 1 orbit only, it seems. So that is quite nice. We will go and get going on this then. And what we can maybe already do... Intersect 1. Yeah, intersect 1 has passed. So what we can already do... How did that maneuver end up on that side? I'm a bit confused about that, not gonna lie. And why is it there now? I'm so confused. Let's get rid of this maneuver. What I would like to do, if we could get rid of all the maneuvers. Why is there still a maneuver? Okay. 2.1 kilometers, not quite as spot on as I would have liked to have it. But we will use this then as a chance to... I mean, I don't really know if I even really want a maneuver. We're maybe going to plan one just to kind of have an idea. But I think overall we'll just work with this one right here. The target speed difference. And we'll kind of adjust speeds like that. Because anything else is... You know what I mean? If you just kind of want to have some sort of indication... Ew. Yeah, we'll just work with a target indicator and kind of go from there, I think. I wanted a bit of an indication how much delta V we would need to equate the speeds here after all. But yeah, I mean, like, this is, like, not helpful at all in the end. I think we'll just kind of use our engines to get ourselves to, ideally, 0 meters a second velocity difference. And then we'll go and swap to the other rocket and just get ourselves closer with that one. So, let us go. Get around that moon. And the target should be coming ever closer, I hope. Jeb and Bob chilling in there, having fun. Bob is going to be the one in the end who's, of course, going to have to fly over in order to transfer. You can also just bring up the contract right here so we can keep that in our eyes. Transfer only crew between vessels near the moon. Of course it is. And, well, we've got the node at least to get a bit of a timing when we need to start working on aligning with the target velocity. So, I mean, we're 7 minutes out, which is fine. That at least gives us plenty of time still. Now, if we look at where the sun is, yeah, exactly. So we need to turn the rocket around once, basically, for our adjustment maneuver here of the speeds. It's beautiful, you know. We have these RCS thrusters, but we don't have any monopropellant in this. I think when I first built the rocket, I thought that the pod itself actually had some monopropellant in it, because I'm quite used to it from like the old pods that you had in Kerbal Space Program. They always came with some amount of monopropellant. Not that much, admittedly, but there always was some. Evidently not very much the case here. So, let us go. Stop. Align that a bit more. Always a bit difficult in space, only with inline reaction wheels. But there we go. That is the alignment done. Now, the maneuver indicator should at least indicate when we're closest to this vessel. The one thing that I'm still very much missing is that you were usually able to see the actual vessel. Oh wow, that's some low polygon graphics right there. You were usually able to see the vessel, or at least mark the vessel for yourself, in order to kind of get an idea of where it would be in space relative to you. Ooh. What is that? Do you all see this? I don't think that's the vehicle. I guess it's just a rock, potentially. Maybe it's some sort of monument or something that we can visit. I don't know. But regarding the target indicator, this should indicate that we are burning away from the target in the very end. This orbital marker here is what we need to kind of lower our velocity in relation to the target. So we're kind of properly aligned anyways, for the time being, I guess. For now, the goal should be just to lower our velocity difference, and in the end we'll use the other one to burn over, make sure that our velocity difference is ideally 0 again, and then when the rockets are aligned and somewhat stationary more or less in relation to each other, we can go and transfer some Kerbal knots. Let us go get a bit closer to this node. As you can see, we will have to realign here a bit, so we will do that now, in fact, to make sure that we've got enough time. You can see that this is evidently a bit different. This would indicate about where the target should be chilling at, which would be like here-ish, maybe? Here? Is it this? No. Not quite sure. Not quite sure. Let's go and finish that alignment. Okay. Anyways, we will find out more about that when we actually get the two closer to each other. For the time being, how far are we still away? 1,100. Wait. The distance is already rising again, isn't it? It looks like it. Okay. Boop. Let's go and lower that speed now. Cool. So, the target, looking at this as well, should be chilling here? Is that it, yeah? Let me check that that lowers our distance. It does indeed. I guess we're going to get closer like this for the time being. In the end, I think it makes it easier. I was really looking to do it with the RCS, but I don't really recommend, not recommend, I don't really remember the key combinations necessary to use that properly right now, so that's a big drawback, and in the end we don't need that crazy minute adjustments. I think these engines are quite fine given that they're pretty low power, and we do need to kind of keep in mind here that we're not really docking to any space station or something, right? So we can still somehow make this work, I would say. Now, I don't want to time warp us into that thing, but we can sort of kind of just monitor our distance to it. And then the closer we get, rather, the better. What I also would really like to do real quick is remove that. Cool, so we'll just get ourselves closer here. 4, 3... What is our closest intersect here? 50 kilometers, okay. No, that can't be the case. Wait, let me slow down. Yeah, we're definitely closer than 50 kilometers. Maybe that's already the next one. As you can see, we have found them. Hello! You can already pretty much just wave through the window. But yeah, we're slowing down here a bit, evidently, for good reasons. I mean, to be honest, we can pretty much get going with this like this. So let's go and get rid of that last bit of velocity difference. That way we should have a nice window here where we're pretty much aligned and don't have any issues with the things drifting away from each other. Beautiful. Perfect alignment. 0.0 meters a second of speed difference. Absolutely beautiful. Look how close we got in the end. Quite happy with that. So, we're going to go on Bob. And he's going to let go and have a good time with his RCS pack just flying over to the other rocket. And then we should be good to go, I hope. Cool, let me just kind of remember what all the controls are, and then we're going to slowly fly over. We're going to try not smack Bob's face into that rocket. Always quite tempting that. You all know it, right? Just go full speed into the rocket. It happens, you know, work accidents and all, but we need to be careful. We do want to finish off that mission in the end, of course. So, there we are, over at the other one. I don't even know who it was that was chilling in here. Maybe like Valentina or someone. I also don't have a clue anymore of how to get us lights on. I can't see. Where's the hatch? Luckily, we can just light things up like that, I guess. But, like, not helpful at all. Not helpful in any way, shape, or form. L, it is not. F, it does not seem to be. If any one of you knows what is the button right there, please let me know down below in the comments. Well, that is the mission successfully completed then. Crews transferred. The rockets are right next to each other in beautiful orbit of the moon. And we are good to go in our contract. So very, very happy with that. It all kind of pretty much went as planned. We have got plenty of Delta V left to get our kerbalnauts all the way back home. And life's going to be fine ever after. So very happy with that. I think in the next episode then we'll get them back, which shouldn't take us all too long. And then we can already get started on the next contract. I hope it's going to be a very interesting one. Maybe also finally something that goes and brings us past the moon. Let's see what options we get there. For today, I'm going to end it off right here. I hope you all very much enjoyed the episode. Of course, if you did, please make sure to smash that like button right down below for the YouTube algorithm. And if you're new around here and haven't done so just yet, also please consider subscribing right down below, as well as hitting that bell icon in order to stay up to date on all the future upcoming episodes. But with all that out of the way then, as usual everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I will catch you in the next one very, very soon. Ciao.